Yeah, yeah. And you've got 6 albums out in total.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think six. I think. Wow, God, I have to think. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, leave your. I mean, long time coming. God, I can't remember the second one is now. Oh, if only. Uh, First, no, live and in session, which is a double album, which is a long time ago. The first 10 years. See it through. Oh, I got seven. See it through. Leave your heart at the door, and now the live album. So 7 albums out.
And how do you think your sort of recording and songwriting has sort of matured over from the first album to today? I mean,
I
how's
really
it
hope he's
differ?
got a lot better. I really hope he's got a lot better. I remember where we went and did the first recording as well. We were kind of like left to our own devices. The guy literally just said, "I'll press play and record," and then you set all your own mics up, set all your own things. And it was the first time I'd ever experienced the recording room was a dead room, and I'd never like literally you can be you're talking to your colleague walking down the hall. I don't know if you've ever experienced it. You walk in a dead room, and it's like you're in a vacuum. There's literally zero ambience.
Mm.
Like it's as dead as dead. There's no
Mm.
natural reverb. There's nothing, and literally your voice changes instantly. As soon as you walk in the room and you continue into a sentence, your voice sounds completely different.
Mm.
I don't know if you've ever experienced that in a studio.
No, I've not actually. So yeah, that
Yeah, it was.
sounds. I mean, was it of a benefit
I
or?
don't know. Maybe I don't know if it was a benefit or not. Because, like I say, it then became my job to add all sorts of stuff. You know, natural reverbs and compressions and this and that, and so that was a learning curve for me. I didn't know half the stuff that I was doing, or even putting on back then in the first album. It turned out okay, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And where were you recording? Sort of where your studios now sort of have changed over the years from
Yeah,
your first album to where you're recording now. Do you
yeah.
think?
The first one was oh God, I can't remember now. In Lincolnshire somewhere, but it wasn't. It was like a guy who set it up, and it was not really a commercial recording place, but we used it, and it was fine. But I think that's gone now. Second one, if only, was at the studio where my last studio album was recorded, but it was under a different name, different management of them. The third one, which is the live in session, was a live recording in Birmingham and an acoustic album kind of done at the same studio as my second one. Fourth one, which is the first 10 years, was basically an amalgamation of some of the first albums. It was like a bit of, it sounds a bit crazy now, but a bit more like a compilation album. A few of the songs from the first few albums, plus at the time we were living in Australia, and I'd moved all my studio to Australia, and I didn't really play live for a year. So I just basically wrote an album in there. So that was in my own studio in Australia. Fifth one, which would be, what did I say that was? I'll see it through, was in the drummer's house, the old drummer's house in Skegness.
How was that?
That was also quite relaxing. His mum and dad was just rustling up food and beers, and we just stayed there for 4 days. And we did drums in his bedroom, cleared out his bed and everything. And it was. I mean, he's a great engineer and great mixer, and we worked well. And his brother was in my band, so we had the bass player. The guys were all living in and around Skegness.
Mm.
So we just went over there for in fact about a week, I think, and just like mic'd everything up and did it, not old school because we were all in the same room, but it was an experience. It was quite cool, and a lot of people say that it's one of my best sounding albums, bizarrely enough. So yeah, that was good. And then the second to last one, was Leaving Art at the Door, was again in the same studio near Mansfield as the second album, and then of course the live one was on the road. So
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about early next year getting back into the studio in Mansfield or near Mansfield and doing the eighth album, I think.
Yeah. And you got in your band, you got, is it Rude,
Yeah,
Hilbrand, and Floris?
yeah.
Is that right? Have you had those musicians throughout, or?
No, about 3 years now. Those guys. I mean, I've been doing this for God too many years to remember, and the whole kind of like lineup finally changed after See It Through, which is my third to last album. They were all English guys. And for one reason or another, they left. Better offers in other bands and blah blah blah. And then it just became more easier and logistically wise to just I was doing so much more gigs on the continent. I thought, why would I get more English guys that have got to come over the ferry or fly over and to even start off from point A? So I started looking around, and there's some great guys and great players, and in Holland. And so 3 of them are now in my band.
Yeah, there's a great music scene in the Netherlands, and there's a lot of that sort of music, guitar-based music and blues rock. It's really loved by a lot of the Dutch.
It's received really well here, and Germany's obviously in the next door. And compared to the UK, I mean, if you ask most 25-year-old people what they think about blues music, their stock answer is, it's for people who want to kill themselves, or people that are depressed. But in Holland, you'll get 18, 19, 20-year-olds coming to your gig, coming to a blues gig.
I remember walking down the street one day, and there was a young lad. He must have only been about 10 years old, something like that, and he got a Jimi Hendrix T-shirt on, and I thought, all is not lost. All is not lost.
We hope. That's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we spoke last time, I mentioned that you're. I think your sound is very Joe Bonamassa, sort of that type of sound.
Okay.
And I think people who like Joe Bonamassa are going to like your stuff. Would you say that sort of style has been has changed throughout your albums, or is it pretty much the same sort of style all the way through, or what's?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think certainly 4 albums ago, I guess. Yeah, 4 albums ago, I'd never heard of Bonamassa, and it was only when See It Through, like I said, the last one with the English guys came out that to be fair, that's where the studio version of the Mayor is on. And Bonamassa at the time, like I say, I told you I played with him and I opened up for him and stuff. And he's a phenomenal guitar player, just off the charts guitar player. I could only dream that I'd be a 10th of the guitar player that he is, one day after probably a lifetime of work. But, he has a tremendous work ethic. He lives, breathes, eats guitar and music and all credit to him. And, it's nice that you say that. I mean, I don't think I sound like Bonamassa. I think I'm probably, I don't know, across. If I had to say, maybe not even style, but maybe sound, a cross between Bonamassa and John Mayer, because John Mayer's a lot smoother, and Bonamassa's got that hard hitting stuff. And I guess I'm trying to be somewhere in the middle. I guess.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I said when I've just listened to your music, it's got more of that sort of polished production type of sound, and so I think anybody that's interested in Joe Bonamassa to check you out, that's for sure. So.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And John Mayer as well.
Yeah. I think it's got that crossover potential, and like I say, I said to you before, I don't really go out to write a specific style or a specific. I let everyone else pigeonhole where it is. Someone will say, "Oh, this song's a bit more poppy." Someone will say, "Oh, this is a bit heavier." It's a bit, Someone will say, "Oh, this is a bit like middle of the road," or whatever. It just whatever comes out.
I think we do that, and it might be wrong. I mean, when I was listening to your music, that was the first thing I was thinking. Who does this sound like? Where your influences and things like that.
Yeah.
Instead of actually just ditching that and saying, let's listen to Sean Webster. Yeah,
but I think everyone, you have to compare. Well, not compare, but you have to liken it to something to give you a reference point. It'd be like, I guess, driving a real fast car, and you'd be going, "Oh, this is probably a little bit like a Formula One car, or it's a little bit like a Ferrari, or it's a little bit like this." But you can't just go, "Well, it's just a car." It's you're going to liken it to something that you're familiar with, which is fine. It's great to be even mentioning the same sentences off these players, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And
how have you found the whole COVID thing, where you sort of got tours booked before the COVID thing and stuff like that? And
it's almost
how's it affected someone
massive.
Like yourself? Yeah.
It's massive. I mean, I had. I'm now part of a theatre tour in Holland. There's a famous guy on TV. He's on TV 2 or 3 times a week on the biggest talk show in Holland. And he also is a massive blues fan, and he heads up a big theatre tour that runs like for about a year. And theatres of like 12, 14, 1,500 seater capacities. But we had, I think, something like 105 theatres sold out. So you're talking over 1 million people had booked tickets. And we were a third way in when COVID hit. And basically everything stopped. It's now supposed to start again in October, but because of the distancing, we can only do a quarter of the people per show in the theatre. And so basically from I think it was the 12th of March it happened, we were on the way to one of the theatres and we got the call saying, no can do, everything stops from now onwards. And from then till, I guess, the beginning of August, I literally made not £1, nothing, not a penny. And I had tours. I had a 2-week tour booked in Russia for the first time. I had 2 weeks in the Czech Republic. I had 2 weeks in Poland. I had two-week tours, one in England and one in Scotland. I had a small run in France and Spain. All gone.
Yeah.
All of it gone. And so, you know, it's weird. The COVID thing, I mean, it didn't send me mental, but you have a lot of things to deal with. For a start, as a touring musician, I have to deal with being at home 24/7. Excuse me, with the kids, with my wife, who I love dearly, but too much time with any one person sends you a bit mental. And there's no escape. It's not like you can go, I'm going to go on holiday, or I'm just going to go and lock myself somewhere else. Literally, you had to stay in. Yeah. Then we were faced with the homeschooling, and it kind of like, I got under my skin with regards to my creativity. So I was finding myself sat in the studio praying for something to come and just nothing, or just going back over old songs or whatever it was. So it played in my psyche, you know, quite a bit, the whole COVID thing. And of course, we still don't know how it's going to go. I mean, I've been lucky enough to do quite a few gigs in August. I think I've done 10 or 12 outdoor gigs, which it's been much easier in Holland than it has in England for the COVID thing. But there's still a question mark as to, you know, what's going to happen, when can we get back at it? Is it ever going to be the same? And so you've to do this for, I don't know, best part of 30 years, and then to have this massive question mark as to whether it can continue is I guess it's not depressing, but you have to be realistic about it. But it's definitely got under my skin.